Great to have you back in the John Fredericks Radio Network. We're live in Washington, D.C. Joining us now, Justin Griffin. He's running for mayor of Richmond. He's live in our Richmond studios. I'm in D.C. He's live there, hanging out with Kiara, our executive producer. Justin Griffin, great to have you with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Look, I followed you fighting the corruption for the Richmond Coliseum, trying to take millions of dollars out of schools and books and teachers' pay and educations in order to make a shrine to hopeful governor, Mayor Levar Stoney. Thing is a complete disaster. You were one of the top people fighting it. I commend you for doing that. Tell me about why you decided to run for mayor against Stoney.
Yeah, so it begins kind of with that Coliseum fight because I'm just a normal guy. I've got a small business law practice here in Richmond, and I love Richmond. And, if you live in Richmond for any period of time, you realize that the people in Richmond are amazing, but our government completely fails them at every level. And you see every couple of years, some new big shiny project comes along where they're trying to waste a lot of our money. It's always a get-rich-quick scheme. Hey, get on board with this thing, and it'll solve all our problems because all of a sudden we'll have a bunch of money. And they always fall on their face. And I eventually just got fed up, and because I have an accounting background too, so when they put out all those projections for the arena project, I looked through them and I was like, this doesn't say what they say it's going to say, or what it's going to do. This is a complete joke, and the numbers are ridiculous. And so fought that, got it defeated, and then realizing that the status quo is not going to change unless there's a change at the top. And so I decided to keep the fight going and run for mayor so that we can finally make some changes here in Richmond.
Let's do a little analysis here of little feckless mayor Levar Stoney crying, hiding, and shaking the other day, hiding behind his decisions to disperse people. He does a curfew. He doesn't back the curfew. Absolutely no leadership. And his answer to everything is take down Lee's statue. I mean, that's the answer. I guess when we take that down, we can all go home, right?
Well, that's the problem, is that we've seen just a complete and utter failure of leadership at every level. And it's not new with this mayor. It's been that way his entire administration, and you can see it before the last 5 days. We have the worst graduation rates in the state. If you drive through the roads of Richmond, you hit a pothole around every turn. It took me 6 months to get a replacement trash can, and so he's failing at everything he's doing. And then we face a health crisis, and he failed and had no plan for that. And he's really hurting our small businesses by refusing to reopen. And then now with this crisis, he failed to act. And then it's amazing, he's failing so much at leadership. He not only failed to stop our small businesses and our communities from being looted and rioted, but he also managed to violate people's civil rights by using tear gas on one of the peaceful crowds, and so it's just a complete mess here in Richmond.
Yeah, so let's not use a tear gas on the looters downtown, burning iconic stores down there, or burning out my friend that owns Ledbury, that dumped his life savings to try to revitalize that area. Let's not tear gas those people, but then let's tear gas the people peacefully protesting in Monument Park. Then let's furlough the officers. Then let's do an apology tour. I mean, the guy's incompetence is beyond the pale. But look, he's up for election in November. I've been asking this question. He's destroyed small businesses. He won't let them open, but he's okay with 1,000 people rioting downtown without masks. So I guess maybe if you want to open your business, you just say you're a looter, and then you can open up your business. You get special status for that. He'll lock people up if they open up a gym or try to give a salon cut, but people can burn down Richmond, and that's fine. They can block the road for a fire truck trying to save a 3-year-old. That's fine, but they can't have 3 people in a restaurant. I mean, come on, man. Justin, come on. Give me a break with this guy. How do you beat him?
Yeah, I think it's a matter of the people of Richmond finally coming together and saying enough is enough. And, that's why I'm running. I'm not a politician. I've never done this before. It's just I love my city. I love my community. And like I said, I work with small businesses every day. I went down there on Sunday, and I walked up and down Broad Street and saw every one of those stores with smashed out windows and everything gone from inside, and it was heartbreaking. These people, like you said, they pour their lives into it. I have my own practice, so I'm a small business owner too. I know what it takes to make a small business work. And it's nights, it's weekends, it's no vacations. And then to have this happen to you and get no backup from leadership, and the only response is to just bow down and start, completely trying to distract from the real issues here is just a failure of leadership. So the people of Richmond have to decide, do we accept more of the same or do we choose something different finally?
Well, we're going to make that decision in November. Justin Griffin, he's running for mayor of Richmond. That'll be decided in November. 3 candidates in the race. Justin Griffin, 3 that matter. Councilwoman Kim Gray from one of the wards downtown. And then, of course, incompetent Mayor Levar Stoney that wants to be governor, president, czar, master of the universe, or whatever he is. The guy's completely incompetent. You kind of saw that here in the past couple days. So I'm not going to mince words here, Justin. What is your path to victory? I mean, to hold Stoney to a runoff, let's start there. You've got to hold him under a majority of 5 of the 5 of the 9 wards, right?
Right.
Right now, there's probably 3 of them he's going to win handily. How do you hold him under 5?
Well, I think the thing is from being out on the campaign trail as much as we have been able to during the pandemic and talking to people and talking to people on the phone, and we've got creative ways for people to reach us on the website. It's just a matter of getting the message out there, because when you talk to Richmonders, people are fed up. Mayor Stoney 4 years ago, they always say he said all the right things, but then he got in there and nothing happened and nothing changed. And you go and you talk to people who can't get trash cans, they can't get their broken water meters fixed, the business owners can't get permits. It's just absolutely every function of city government is failing under his leadership, and people are fed up. So it's a matter of just getting out there and getting the message out there, and people are really buying into it and getting on board with us here. And so that's just, it's going to be a lot of work, and it's going to take the people banding together and spreading the message.
When you talk about spreading the message, I get that, but I got to get to raw politics here. Both of us have a goal, and that's to get rid of Levar Stoney, because he's a disaster for Richmond. He's an egomaniac. He's a political animal. The whole thing with Justin Fairfax, as you know, I've been probably the biggest supporter of Fairfax's right to due process of anybody in the media in the country. I take a backseat to no one with him. There's a lot of shenanigans that went on there, so we have a common goal. Here's one of the fears. You and Kim Gray split the anti-Levar vote, and because both you're in the race, Levar Stoney wins again. How do you respond to that, Justin?
When I look at this race, it's not politics for me. It's my life. It's my home. It's where I live, and I care about Richmond. And so I'm not running on some strategic maneuvering just to make sure somebody gets elected. I'm running to make real change, and I think that's what makes me different. I'm not some opportunist that sees that Stoney's failing and so I'm taking advantage of it. I'm a guy that lives in Richmond, who loves Richmond, who deals with the government all the time with my small business owners, and I'm fed up, and I think we deserve better. And and when I do this, and you look at somebody like Kim Gray, and she's been in office for 12 years. She was on the school board. She's been on city council. Before that, she was a political appointee in the Mark Warner administration. And so she's just another political animal. And, I said when I was exploring this that if I saw that anybody else running was going to be a change in the status quo, that I probably wouldn't be doing this. And I still believe that, and that's why I'm doing it.
I get what you're saying. You're a non-politician, right? I get that. But isn't there something to be said, Justin, for experience? I mean, we've seen the lack of experience that Stoney has. It's pretty appalling. I mean, the guy's completely incompetent. He's a political animal. So we've seen somebody without any experience other than being a political hack. You're a business owner. What makes Justin Griffin different?
Yeah, I think what makes me different from everybody else running is that, like you said, I'm a business owner. I'm an attorney who does contracts and reviews complicated deals for a living. I have an accounting degree with an economics minor, so I can understand finance. And actually, my No Coliseum website is still up, and so you can look at that, or you can look at my campaign website, griffinformayor.com, and you can see that what I do is based off of analysis and logic and trying to get what is best for Richmond. And I have a real job. I've worked to start a business. I've lived in the community, and that's what makes me different from everyone else running, is that I'm out there. I'm seeing how these policies are affecting everybody on a day-to-day basis, and I have the skill set and the experience to actually make those changes. Yes, I've never held public office, but I actually think that makes me more qualified because I can, I've done relevant things and have taken relevant looks at and understand finance, which is what Richmond needs in order to get our priorities straight.
We're with Justin Griffin. He's a candidate for mayor of Richmond. That'll be decided in November. Three leading candidates, and now Griffin, Kim Gray, councilwoman, and the incumbent Levar Stoney, whose approval ratings right now are heading south, as they should be based on his incompetence. On your website, you say you want better schools, and you cite the fact that Richmond Public Schools graduation rate dropped from 80% in 2016 when he got elected to 70%. Let's just talk about this, okay? It almost makes me sick reading it. So since Mayor Stoney has been there, and he spent a lot of time trying to get a Coliseum done with his name on it so he can run for governor, right? So since Mayor Stoney has been there in 2016, if you go to high school in Richmond, the graduation rate in high school has dropped 15%. 80%, which is really bad, that's 8 out of 10. That means 2 out of 10 gone. No GED, nothing. Dropped to 70%. I want you to grasp this, my audience. That means that 3 out of 10 Richmond students in the city of Richmond, 3 out of 10, it's a big city, that go to high school don't graduate. Do you think that's a problem? Do you think there's something wrong when 3 out of 10 people in 2020, in 2019, don't graduate from high school? Do you think that is a prescription for calamity? Do you think that is sick? Do you think that is appalling? Do you think that is something that you would say, oh my God, what is happening in my city? How do you respond to that, Justin?
Yeah, I think it's a crisis. If you have 30% of your young people not graduating high school, it's an absolute crisis, and it has to be your top priority and that's why I'm running, because you have these other people that are running for office that have been in office, have been on the school board, have been the mayor, and nothing has changed. Things have gotten worse. I mean, Richmond can't even provide transcripts for kids that do graduate. There was a whole scandal last year, and there was kids, they potentially could be losing their scholarships because they couldn't give the college a transcript. They don't know what classes kids are taking. And there has to be a sense of urgency in focusing on the top priorities of our city, and the schools is number one, because that is the silver bullet that affects everything, and it helps people with its economic mobility, breaking the cycle of poverty. You can't do that if people aren't graduating from high school. And so you have to get in there, and you have to try and do whatever it takes to get that fixed, instead of focusing on your own political career and, okay, can I build an arena? What can I do? Oh no, my career's going up in flames. What can I do to save it? Instead of focusing on actually serving our people and making their lives better.
So when you ask Levar Stoney as mayor of Richmond, and he actually talked about education a lot, like, remember that? Remember when he talked about it?
Yeah, he said he was going to be the education mayor.
When you ask Levar Stoney that your first-term legacy is 30% of your students don't graduate high school. Like, if you don't graduate high school, like, what do? What, they drop out as a sophomore or 13 years old? Or where do they go? What do they do? How do they survive? How do they get a job? What's their life going to be? Right now, folks, this is Levar Stoney's legacy. He spent 4 years trying to get some stupid Coliseum that nobody needs or wants. Took money, tried to get money, lied about it, everything else. Or, let's not say lied. Certainly was loose with some of the fact. How about that? And the graduation rate dropped 12%. Right now, Justin, this is Levar Stoney's legacy in Richmond. How do you get reelected with that?
I honestly have no idea. I mean, I guess we'll find out what his strategy is and what he really cares about. I mean, I guess we already know what he really cares about, because it's obviously not the schools and it's obviously not our kids, because he doesn't spend any of his time focusing on that. And he'll go out and he'll say, whatever it takes to get elected, because this is his life. This is the only thing he's ever done. It's how he defines himself. He thinks he's going to be president someday. And so instead of going in there, and it defies logic to me, because if you went into this job and if he had spent all of his time trying to improve the conditions of things like the schools and the infrastructure and basic city services, and was able to right the ship in Richmond, he would have wrote his ticket to anywhere he wanted to go. But he didn't do that. He focused on himself. He focused on trying to make big money donors happy within a giant arena project and development downtown. And so we'll see where he goes from here and what he focuses on and what he tries to convince people. But he's got a record now that he's got to run on. And I, talking to Richmonders, I think they see through it.
It's sickening. His legacy is a travesty. I mean, the number one objective we have to do is to try to educate our kids. 70% graduation rate, dropped 12%, 15% since he's been there. Unbelievable. One other thing you say, better roads. Anybody that's driven around Richmond, you take your tires, life in your hands. I mean, potholes all over the place, roads cracked. How are you going to fix that?
Well, going back to having an accounting background, I've taken a look at our budget, and if you look at it, we've had $141 million worth of new spending in the last 4 years. And you look around town and you wonder where it went. You hit the potholes, you see busted street lights with exposed wires coming out downtown everywhere. And so it's a matter of having the right priorities. Richmond does not have a revenue problem. It has a priorities problem. We are known as a place of misplaced priorities and mismanagement. And so it's a matter of actually wanting the job of mayor so that you can fix things to make things better instead of just seeing it as a stepping stone. And so I'm going to go in and we're going to go into each department. We're going to root out the corruption. We're going to root out the inefficiencies. We're going to right-size the budget and redirect things to our priorities of schools, roads, and basic services, because that's how I'm going to wake up every day. How do I make the schools better, and how do I make our neighborhoods better for our people of Richmond? And that's what I'm going to be focusing on, not trying to set myself up for some political career.
John Fredericks Radio Network, Justin Griffin. You can get more information, griffinformayor.com. griffinformayor.com. Justin, good to have you with us. Keep fighting.